What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the highest point on our property. Very pretty place. Anyway, for those of you who checked out the stream last night with Rob, a farmer from Australia, thank you very much. Very interesting stream. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. He was also featured on Bobby's Perspective channel, and he's the man with whom Bobby will be making a documentary about food production, both vegan or plant food and animal agriculture. Fascinating stuff, at least I thought so, and you may as well, so do check it out if you haven't. Tomorrow, I hope to talk to Bart K, and we're going to talk about, well, the things that Bart likes to talk about that I do as well. Wherever it is we meet, when we do meet, that's what's going to happen. So that's tomorrow, hopefully. Everything works out. And a short 3-4 days ago, I was talking to a vegan on his channel. I guess I'll link to that video. Go check it out if you're there. But we were talking, and at one point during the conversation, the vegan in this case started doing what the vegans often do, and that's blurring the line between human and animal, calling animals someone. And I said, hey, an animal is not a someone, it's a something. Now obviously, in certain contexts, it's not technically incorrect to refer to an animal as a someone, blah blah blah, right? But when we talk to normal people in normal life, 99.9% of the time, when we say someone, we're talking about an individual person. Yeah? When someone says that somebody stole their keys, right? You don't think of a crow or a fox or a dog. You think of a person, right? Because that is the language, at least the English language that we all use, which vegans obviously have no respect for, because they call slaughter what's slaughter, they call it murder, right? And some things all of a sudden are someone's. So when I said to the vegan, look, an animal is not a something or not a someone, it's a something, obviously they revolted. There were some in the comment section too, vegans that is, and they had the gall to ask me to justify this, why I say this. It's like, I started tripping. I started thinking to myself, look, maybe I got this one wrong, right? English is not my first language. So I reached for the dictionary and I looked this up, just kind of tripping, right? So I did, and obviously, predictably, as you would expect, there it is in the dictionary. Whichever one you look into, someone is a person, obviously, right? But this is what these people do. They change the language in order, and I'm not saying this is always conscious with every single vegan, but they're changing the language in order to brainwash kids, other individuals. They're misusing the language. They're not using it correctly. Now look, I'm okay with language morphing and changing and words having different multiple meanings. Language is fluid, that's fine. However, if we're going to do that, well, as the vegan expects me to have a justification, why wouldn't they be expected to justify why they're changing their language, right? I'm the status quo right now. Like it or hate it. If you have an explanation, a justification for why it shouldn't be so, the status quo that is, okay, great, I'm all ears. Convince me. I don't need to convince you of why we use the language in the way that we do. I don't need to give you a justification for why someone means what it means. It's in the dictionary. This is the meaning of the word, because we as human beings see each other as above different than, superior to animals. Because we don't reject reality, we see it for what it is. And that has shaped our language. You vegans got everything ass backwards. Instead of justifying why you believe we're using language incorrectly, you want us to justify why we think we're using it correctly when we already are. This is what it is. And just because you may not know what the justification is, well, hell, if you got a better one, let's hear it. You don't. It's this Orwellian, I guess, if you will, attempt to manipulate and control language, create new words or meanings, such as carnist, for example, right? Animal slaughter being murder. Saying that people feeding themselves with animal husbandry is Holocaust. None of that makes any sense. You're completely misusing words as they are meant to be used, right? But you have to do that in order to brainwash people, especially kids, I believe. Because on some level, and hey, maybe it's just because we were brainwashed previously, but on some level, everybody understands that everybody, everyone, somebody, someone, an individual refers to human beings. But if you change the young, impressionable mind to include in that definition animals, well, all of a sudden, animals become equal to human beings. And that's really what these people are trying to do. It is what they're doing. They act like killing an animal is the same as killing a human being, even though for a lot of these vegans it's not okay to eat bivalves, but abortion is completely fine. So not only do you not have any justifications for wanting to change the language as it exists right now, you're a goddamn hypocrite. You don't make any sense. The whatever justification you think you provide is hypocritical. It's BS. So I'm sick and tired. Well, I'm not sick and tired of interacting with these people, because the reason why I do it is not for their sake. But I'm not so much concerned with the vegans, the future ex-vegans, because their health will fail, and one day they'll wake up, and if they have the balls that they claim that they do, they'll make a no longer vegan video. They'll hopefully apologize, and life will go on. So I'm not too concerned about those people. I'm concerned about, well, I mean, nut jobs like them that don't know how to speak any fucking language because they created their own, coming over here flexing, right? I'm not trying to have that. And you know, I try to be logical. I like to be able to communicate with people, and if we can't speak the same language, that's problematic, right? You have a message you want to communicate, dear vegan, but you're not even willing to speak the language that we speak, that the majority of us speak. So that's a little messed up, especially since you're looking to force us to use the words in the way that you use them without having ever justified why we should do that, right? And this is all very reminiscent of this LGBTQ, which in and of itself is an Orwellian term, I suppose, movement. And I hate using the term SJW, but because social justice is important, but you know what I'm saying. It's reminiscent of, and we touched upon that with Rob on the podcast, on the Hangout. It's reminiscent of the LGBTQ community inventing all these genders all of a sudden, right? Changing the meaning of the term gender, what it means, just on a very base level, and then creating these other genders that don't really exist, because that's not what gender means, right? It's all one and the same. You want to call it leftist, I got no problem with that. You know, these people, in my opinion, are, however, whatever historical context you want to fit them into. They're definitely original in some cases, in many respects, and they're definitely authoritarian. They're not good people. Maybe they mean well, but they have no clue what the hell it is they're talking about, because, well, they don't even speak any well-established language. They create their own. That's why I keep saying they live in La La Land. It's very difficult to communicate with them. And so much as they tell us they want to find common ground, they're not accepting common language, common principles, the common understanding of the world, the status quo. They're completely rejecting that, looking to make it something that it isn't. Now, if you really want to change the world for the better, you're going to have to work from within the world as it exists. You're going to have to accept the world for the way that it is. You're going to have to accept the language that we use, and you're going to have to convince us logically. That's the only way you can convince us logically, right? And anything other than convincing people with logic, trying to force them to do something you want them to do without any justification, of course that's authoritarian. Of course that's anti-human. Of course that's not how it should be, and it definitely isn't ethical. So that's my little morning rant about these, let's just call them what they are, SJWs who believe that animals are part of society when they really aren't. Not really. So the vegan is a SJW 2.0, because at the very least the SJW traditionally, I guess you could say, deals with human beings, even though transhumanism is very much at the core of this, at least the LGBTQ whatever the hell movement. Those beings are still human beings, however modified, whatever the hell it is that they do with their bodies, thinking that they could change themselves to be something that they're not. They're still human, okay? Vegans are SJWs 2.0 because they work with the assumption that animals are part of society, and they think they're working toward giving animals human rights, or humans animal rights, finding that point where we're supposedly all equal, because without ever having justified why that is, they already believe that we are. So that's why they don't have any respect for human beings, because, well, they don't respect animals. They don't care about the fact that many, many more animals die during crop production versus, just raising animals naturally on pasture, right? In order to feed human beings, which is what we talked about on this podcast last night. If a carnivore dieter, or somebody who eats a large portion of their diet as grass-fed beef, lamb, or goat, or what have you, milk, eggs, causes a lot less suffering, kills fewer animals than somebody who lives on peanuts, bread, kale, whatever the hell it is that these vegans eat, right? So if they were truly concerned with animal welfare, honestly, they would be honest about this fact and they would do something about it. But they're not concerned with animals, and they're definitely not concerned with people, because, well, they think people are on the level of animals. They treat us like animals. They're just a bunch of self-hating, virtue signaling, language changing, no justification for anything giving pieces of human excrement. It is what it is. They may not fully realize this, but if you're an ethical vegan, as you guys portray yourselves, at least on social media, you're a piece of shit. You're not an honest person. You're garbage. You're a piece of human trash. You don't You don't seem to value animals, the lives of animals, or the lives of human beings. You don't seem to even like yourself as you sit there eating this nutrient deficient diet and no doubt suffering. I don't give a shit what you guys say. We all see y'all. We know what's up. Clearly, you don't love yourself. You don't respect yourself. You have zero respect for animals. You're anti-human. You're anti-nature. You're anti every fucking thing as it is right now. That's why you want to turn it all upside down and destroy it. Because you're sad pieces of shit, and you're sad, desperate, retarded, virtue signaling fucks. It is what it is. And that's a dose of reality.